It's been a long time since I've been back to the school, even longer since I've been on that stage. So, it was a lot, very important, very meaningful to just see so many people come out, people that have known me, literally through my whole life, teachers, friends, coaches, um, family that all kind of came in together. It was just very special. It's just nice to be recognized by your home for things you've done in your life and in your career. And so here's an interesting fact about me and Rossford is that I didn't actually start going to Rossford until sixth grade. But I played ball, I played football, I wrestled. Of course, you've got classes. Of course, I was in the band, but it was really great. Going to school there. Um, there were a lot of really positive people in my life from that school district, and there are still tricks that I learned in high school that I use today, and I've passed on to my children. I use it with my interns here at NASA. So it was a really great. It was a really great experience for me. People look back at high school, and while you're there, you don't think it's as great of an experience. But maybe looking back through the lens of time, you kind of realize, yeah, that actually prepared me pretty well. Obviously, I went to Ohio State from Rossford. I went into aerospace engineering there. I kind of went in right as a declared major. I knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. Um, but one of the interesting things that it's an exercise that people often do is the whole, where do you want to be in 5 years? I'm terrible at this exercise because no matter what I say or what I've picked, I've always been wrong. Kind of deviating a little bit into a bit of advice is don't get so hung up on where you think you want to go because opportunities may arise that you don't know about, or people may arise in your life that help you go in a direction that you didn't really think about before. I wasn't quite sure where I wanted to be after graduate school. Um, but NASA was doing a few things, but a lot of it, at least publicly, was like we're flying the space shuttle at the time. Um, you know, there didn't seem to be as much mainline research going on in the NASA complex, and so um, at least publicly, at least visibly, and so I'm like, I didn't really want to go work for NASA, and yet here I am. And 19 years later, I've been working for NASA ever since I left graduate school. Now, I had some help getting there, but I got connected to a really good research group and research lab complex down here in Huntsville. It was brand new. In fact, I mean, so new that the building that they were moving into was not yet fully completed. And so being a researcher and moving into a lab space where everything is bare to the walls and you can set up everything kind of exactly how you want, that's actually a really exciting proposition. You're not inheriting a bunch of old stuff. There's not a whole bunch of stuff that's been set up that has to be torn down, or a bunch of wires that go to who knows where that and then do God knows what. And so that was a really, really exciting time to be, in the position I was in. Like my background is in space plasma thrusters, and specifically inductive pulsed plasma thrusters. Now, there is a small niche of people in the world that really study and understand this area. So it's not a very big group in the first place worldwide that's studying it. And then to make a contribution in that area is kind of a big deal. And so it's really quite interesting now, when I travel to conferences, I've met students who are at different universities, and they'll come up to me and they'll say, "Oh, I'm familiar with your work. I cited it in my research, in my thesis." Or I'll meet, the some students from another country, and they'll want to talk to me about my work. It's very humbling to know that your work is uh, known by people halfway around the world. Just at a workshop 2 weeks ago, which was looking at how do we use nuclear power science in the outer planets? How do we apply that? Can it get us there faster? Can we take more payload to do science out there? What's important to the science investigators that will be flying those missions, and how do we as propulsion and power engineers try to give that to them? So it's a really exciting time to be able to actually attack this and to be alive and in the field at a time where a lot of different things are kind of coming together to make that possible in a way that and with the momentum that really hasn't been seen since the days of Apollo, uh, is really very exciting. What could literally be a global revolution in how we do space? What a time to be alive. Practical advice for students: don't quit learning. You're going to learn from everywhere. People have knowledge, especially practical knowledge. Experience kind of trumps everything else. And so make sure that you're soaking up as much of that as you can. Have a plan of where you want to go, but don't be so wedded to it that you blind yourself to other opportunities.